Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. In today's video we're going to look at getting started with the Ironjawz in Age of Sigmar Warcry, using the Morgok's Krushas warband from Warhammer Underworlds as a starting point to build up a full functional 1000 point warband from. Morgok and his mob of Ironjawz brutes once hunted down and fought the greatest prey they could find amongst Gur's trackless wastes. Whether they ran down the spiny Nephrodiles or fought the storm warriors of Sigmar, Morgok's Krushas sought the mightiest trophies in the name of their bellicose deity Gorkamorka. While roaming a plain of ancient bones, the Ironjawz boss heard from afar the clash and clangor of battle. They pursued the sounds across the wilds until they arrived at Beastgrave. The noises were echoing from the mountain's tunnels. Invigorated by War energy, they would only increase with each conflict. The brute bod led his cronies down into the caverns to win glory in the eyes of the great green god. During their initial venture into the Beastgrave, the warband set their eyes upon a Jabberslay, believing it the greatest prey the living mountain had to offer. Once again, Morgok had decided that they had proven themselves, and he and his warband made their way to exit the Beastgrave. However, along the way, the mountain attempted to lure them into staying with visions of the lost civilization of the Silent People, which were immediately dismissed by Morgok. However, before they could leave, the warband were ambushed by Skaven, and despite their efforts, were eventually killed by the cunning Ratman. Eventually, though, resurrecting due to the Cataphrane curse, Morgok resolved to remain in the Beastgrave, resonating that they may have slain the greatest beast, but they were still not the best warriors. Today's video is sponsored by Gap Games, a fantastic miniature wargaming store in Queensland, Australia. They stock a wide variety of miniature wargames from all things Games Workshop to some of my personal favourites, Conquest, The Last Argument of Kings, and all things Modifius wargames as well. Use our affiliate code in the link below to help support both this fantastic store and the channel as well. And so, leading our initial box there is of course Morgok, the warband's, sire, who they are named after in Morgok's Krushas. This is a fairly hefty character, 35 health, 5 toughness, he's got 4 attacks at strength 5 with 3/5 on the damage, all in all just loads of good stats. Now he does cost a lot, 225 points at the time of recording is a lot, but he is going to punch really well and be on the table for a while. Your opponent's going to have to put in a lot of effort to take him down. Now you do have a bunch of generic abilities for Ironjawz that obviously this model is going to have access to. The first of these would be Charge, where a fighter can only use the ability if there's a visible enemy fighter within 6 inches. They can get to make a bonus move that has to end nearer towards that enemy fighter. We've got the Duff Up, the big thing as well that is available to him, where until the end of the fighter's activation they get to add 1 to the attacks and strength of their attack actions if they're targeting an enemy fighter with 15 or more health. This is a pretty good rule because there is quite a few fighters. This means most enemy leaders, they're more elite fighters, unless you're going to like human elf sort of thing, are going to be above this, and this would just always work against warbands like Ogres, Stormcast, even other orcs as well. Now we do have some other abilities for the warband. First of all, their big special one, for their one is a triple called Beast Bashes, where they can only use this if there's an enemy fighter with the Gargantuan rune mark nearby, and they get to make a bonus attack against it. You've also got the leader abilities you're going to get access to. War obviously is going to give some bonus moves to your friendly fighters nearby, and New Messin, another triple they've got access to for all members of Morgok's Krushas, is until the control of objectives has been determined at the end of the battle round, enemy fighters with wounds characteristic of 14 or less don't count. So this is a super powerful ability, especially when you consider that the warband here is going to be really light on models. It'll be really super useful to have access to. And lastly, of course, we have Rampaging Destroyers. The ability is the quad for the warband, and until the end of the fighter's activation, they get to add 1 to the attacks characteristic of attack actions made by the fighter, but also until the end of the fighter's activation, after an enemy fighter is taken down by an attack, this fighter can make a bonus move as well. Next, we have Ardskull. Now, this is essentially one of the brute rages. These obviously came out a lot. The Brute Rages at least came out a lot in time after Ardskull came out, but it was the initial sort of look at them 2 attacks at strength 6 with 3/6 on the damage, pretty solid, and also 26 health with a defense of 5 is nice. For 165 points, he is really solid value. Now, you've got a bunch of the abilities that we've already talked about. You've got the ability to get some extra bonus attacks into gargantuan creatures. You've got the ability to charge and get extra activations and movements with a bunch of your different abilities with this fighter. Just going to get stuck in. Probably the big thing we're going to want later on when we're talking about adding is trying to get extra attacks in this model. Definitely just the base abilities of the war band, and of course of some of the other generic abilities we have access to, like Onslaught, are going to be really useful for getting the most out of this model. Lastly, we have Thug. Once again, 26 health and 5 defense. Thug doesn't do quite as much damage, and he is lower strength, so 4 attacks at strength 4, 2/5 on the damage, but he has those 4 attacks rather than the 2. So more attacks generally means you're probably more likely to get a crit, but he doesn't spike quite as high as Ironjawz does. Got all the same abilities there for the model. He's just going to be a really solid fighter. At 145 points, he is worth absolutely every penny. And so, where to go next? The first thing we're going to look to add is going to be the Auric War Chanter. Now, first of all, this is still an Auric model, so 32 health, defense 5, 4 attacks at strength 4, 2/4 on the damage. Really solid profile, especially for the current points cost of 180. But other than that, we have got a bunch of the generic abilities. He is still a leader, so we're going to have things like War as an accessed ability. But the big reason we're taking this is the double for War Chanter's beat, where until the end of the battle round, you add one to the attacks characteristic of melee attack actions made by other friendly fighters while within 6 inch. This is the big reason we're taking this model. This is obviously going to work really well with someone like Ironjawz, but even Morgok is going to get so much out of this model as well, and really any of our other Aurics as well. After that, we then have the Auric Weird Knob Shaman. Now, this model does bring a little bit of range with that generic sort of wizard profile attack, 3 to 7 inch range, 2 attacks at strength 3 with 3/6 on the damage profile. He's also 32 wounds, though defense 4, so dropping down a little bit from what we're sort of used to in the Warband, but still, 32 health is going to keep this model alive a long time. And you are still an Orc in combat. You've got 3 attacks at strength 4, 1/4 on the damage, and nicely a 2 inch range. Anyone who watches the channel knows how much I love the 2 inch range on your melee attacks. It means you can stand 1 point whatever outside of your opponent's 1 inch range, and they have to move and attack rather than you just being able to hit 2 attacks into them. It's a really useful thing to have. It doesn't seem like much, but it is massive. And so we also have a unique ability with the Weird Knob Shaman as well, which is the Foot of Gork, and this just allows you to deal some damage with an ability outside of your regular attacks. Now, I really like these normally, but even more so in such an elite warband where you don't get as many attack actions. Having an ability that can deal some damage outside of your regular activations is super useful. It's going to allow you to deal more damage, get more essential attacks out of your models, allow you to fight against armies and warbands that outnumber you much better. For the last few points, we're just going to bring an Ardboy into the warband, and I've gone for the Ardboy with Chopper rather than the sticker. The reason here is going to be just the extra attack. Yes, we do have a slightly better damage profile on the spear, but the extra attack is really what's going to do it. 3 attacks, strength 4, 2/4 on the damage, 15 health with defense 5, really solid for 100 points at the time of recording. The Ardboy's got its own special ability as well, which is going to be the Shield Bash. And what this does is you pick an enemy fighter within an inch, and the target moves 3 inch directly towards this fighter as if it were jumping, even if they're within 1 inch of enemy fighters. In addition, if this fighter is within 6 inch of a friendly fighter with the Ironjawz runemark and the Icon Bearer runemark, you allocate a number of damage points equal to the value of the ability. Now, we haven't gone for taking that Icon Bearer, but just getting the ability to sort of move forward and some extra movement here is really nice. And so our warband here today is going to have our 3 heroes first of all as Morgok himself. We've gone for the Divine Blessing of Savagery. This 10-point upgrade is just going to give us an extra point of damage on our crit value, taking us to 3/6 on the damage, which is really nice. Then we've got the War Chanter and the Weird Knob Shaman there as well. While for fighters we then have Ardskull, Thug, and an Ardboy with Chopper. We hope that this video was helpful in getting you started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar Warcry, and that it was able to give you some ideas and inspiration to start your own force in the game. If you have any other questions at all, please comment them down below and we'll endeavour to get back to you. And while you're there, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe and join our Discord server as well, linked in the video's description, for all our future Warhammer Age of Sigmar Warcry content.